Hey there! Welcome back to Zim Car Speakers. We'd pick up from where we stopped the last time on how to install car speakers. If you missed the first part of the video, kindly check the channel records or follow the link in the description. Replacing the door speakers. The door speakers most times are simple to change, however, how simple they can be to change is determined by the kind of car. As time goes on, it is becoming rare to see a car where you can simply change speakers by just getting grill out of the way and putting them in. But that it is rare, does not mean that it does not happen. Some of the grills are held by friction fittings while others are held by screws. Whichever one that is obtainable in a car, three main steps exist when it comes to changing the speakers in car doors. Firstly, get the grill out of the way. Bring out the factory speaker. Make sure that you do not mishandle the speaker. This is because it is attached to the wiring harness. Do not rough handle the old speaker, as it might be that you maybe want to sell your car later. There are some speaker manufacturers who use foam or sealant to cover the speaker. What this means is that you have to cut the foam with a knife. Secondly, remove the wire from the old speaker and connect the new speaker or wiring harness. Just like before, ensure that polarity is right. When the harness is attached to a new speaker, you could plug one end of the harness to factory harness. Make sure you test the speaker before putting it in place. You can go over that connection one more time. Check to see if the speaker is doing well. You can now place back factory grill from whence it came. In changing the speaker on the door, you need to be incredibly careful. The method of going about is easy. On a general note, when you get a brand new car, you must have to remove the door panel before you can change factory speakers. If the car is an old one, with manual windows, you will have to remove the crank when you want to get the speaker behind the door. Some of the cranks are pinned to the door and you have to get them away. You can do this by unscrewing the screw that was attached to the pivot. Sometimes it is hidden from view by a snap-on trim. Some also are held by a spring clip. A retaining tool is used to get rid of this clip. Shop rag can too. Press in the door panel surrounding the crank, look beyond crank, turn the handle till you see spring clip, use front and back motion, mimicking a shoeshine one to get the clip to come out of your window crank. In some cars, you are required to pry off and then disconnect the electrical control module which is responsible for controlling locks and power windows. These modules can be found on the armrest, and that is still a door part. When you are done with window crank and have disconnected any power function, the one thing separating you and the speakers are few clips and screws which would have to be pulled off. When the time comes to put out the panel, begin at the middle counter, pull the panel straight up. As corner comes loose, work along the panel's bottom, then up from the two sides. Again, be reminded that extra caution is needed. If the sides and bottoms are loose, a panel will now hang on a trim which sticks to the window as well. Pull it up and the frame is free. Mounting door speakers. Making a door to contain the speaker would take you some amount of work and special talent. You could choose to keep it on top or bottom. Mounting on top seems simpler and does not require depth that much. However, what should inform your decisions is what is most suitable for your car. If you have never done this before, you should probably refrain from trying it. This should be done by an expert DIYer. To know which place is best for your speaker, you can check the manuals they came with. Supervise the surface you are cutting so that you do not cut something vital which may affect the workings of other parts of the door. Also, make sure grill and speaker won't get in the way of closing the door or windows. So, you need to roll off the clank up and then down to make sure there is nothing affecting it adversely. You should also check your door panel. This is to see the amount of metal that may be required to be cut off from the frame of the door. Find speaker mounting on the door panel's back. Tape template on that spot and then you can trace and draw with a pen. Place the panel on the ground, or table, and then cut out a circular shape with a knife. Do not use a knife that is not sharp. Making use of a jigsaw to cut the metal is okay. However, one has to be incredibly careful. When you are using the jigsaw, ensure that you cover eyes. Ensure you cut metal and door panels separately. If you want to try cutting both at once, then you may damage panel covering. If you are cutting metal which is coated by plastic or metal that is exposed, you have to cover the saw's base using electrical tapes to stop marring. Make sure that the blade is not touching any part of the exterior of the car, it could lead to pockmarks. Full range speaker. If the speaker has been installed in a space that was not originally meant to house speakers, you will have a small challenge again doing the wiring. You can start wiring by making use of factory rubber tube and door jamb and attach a super wire from car to door and vice versa. If the space for a plug or boot is not there, take a drill and then bore a 5/8 of an inch hole. Be certain that the hole reaches where you want it to reach. Using rubber grommet or some other flexible tubes, protect wiring from some sharp small edges in a hole. This will also prevent insulation from damaging when you try opening the door. Remember to place wires in places where door jamb will not touch. Leave some space so the car door could open when they want. If the speaker is top mounted, then you can place the back door panel, when you must have run cable via jamb. If the speaker is bottom mounted, you have to bring the panel together before reassembling the door. If the panel is placed properly, shift friction fitting to their seats, then replace many screws as to in its place. Make sure that the crank is not clipped. This is because of the tendency of you wanting to remove it again in the future. You can crimp, drill holes, mark screws. Attach a quick slide to terminals to speaker wire. Connect the speaker using the manner in which we did the above ones. Installation of rear speakers. When installing rear speakers, you just have to pry the grill up, then change speakers. Some may require you to do as much as enter the boot and having to disconnect the speakers there. Others may require that you remove the seats at the back. This step below is for installing component speakers on doors. Disconnect battery. Prepare the parts of the about to be installed speaker. Get the speaker and all its parts out of the packaging box. If the speaker is a full range, you would have a speaker wire, 2 speakers, mounting screws, instructional manual, speed clips. In some cases, the manufacturer may add grills. If they do not, you can use the grills of your old speaker. If the speaker is a component 1, you would have the tweeters separately, mounting hardware for the tweeter and then crossovers. The question here now would be, where do I install my tweeters? What kind of mounting should I use? Should it be flush, angled, or surface? Make sure that the tweeters are placed on top of the woofer. Place them in such a way that it would face the ears of anyone in the car. This would make the sound that comes from the speaker realistic. It would also have a brilliant stereo image. Make sure your tweeter is not far from your woofer. The best way to place it is at most 1 foot from the woofer. This is to make sure the sound field is unified. Other factors that you may want to consider is the size of your car doors and aesthetics. Disassemble the door. This is dependent on where your factory speaker was formerly placed. It is also dependent on where you want to install the new one. First things first, remove the old speakers. You can follow the instructions on the manual of your new speaker, or you can follow this. Remove your window crank. In some vehicles, you would need a crank remover. On others, window crank is usually held in place by just a screw. The panel tool can be used to remove the crank cover. Unscrew and pull off the crank, then door cup. Usually, there is another screw below door cup. Remove it and slide door panel off your door. Remove your factory-fitted speaker. Usually, the speaker is held to your car door using 4 different Phillips screws. Unscrew them and pull out the speaker from the opening. You can now use a screwdriver, flat head, to pop off factory harness, then release the old speaker for removal. Prep the crossover. Component speakers make use of external crossovers to create a division between the woofer and tweeter. The woofer and tweeter. So, solder the wiring harness onto crossover wires. Cut off wire harness that makes use of slide connectors, then strip the wires. Strip crossover wires and place heat shrink on the wires, then twist together harness wires. When you are done soldering, you can make use of a heat gun and melt heat shrinks to protect connections. Then connect crossovers to factory wiring, which has the quick wiring harness. If you find it hard to do soldering, you can make use of the Posey products. They offer an extremely easy way of doing the job. The connectors from Posey products will also give a long-lasting and solid connection. Installation of the woofer. Make use of old speaker screws and plant your mounting bracket onto factory opening. Place a baffle in bracket and screw in your woofer. Assuming the installation is for a full range, you go reverse on the steps listed above, replace door panels and you are done. But since this is for a component speaker, we continue to the installation of the tweeters. Installation of the tweeters. Using the angle flush method, mount your tweeters. This method, however, would need you to create an opening in the panel of your door that is big enough to contain the entirety of the tweeter cup. So, map out where you want the tweeters to be mounted. Make use of a pencil or a marker to trace the outline of the tweeter cup. Then make use of the hole saw to drill a hole out of that space that was marked out. Every producer of the tweeter has a varying style of securing tweeter to the mounting surface. For the purpose of this video, we use one that makes use of spring clips. This attaches to tweeters back using a screw. The connection is secure and tight. Angle your tweeter up, then let it be facing the seat of the driver. Completion of the installation. The crossover should be connected to tweeter and woofer. Use wire ties in holding the excess cables together. Route speaker wires around the crank of the window. Then finally place the door panel right back on the door. The crossover should fit between the door frame and door panel and should be secured therein. Then proceed to replace everything that had been previously removed. First the screws, then move over to replacing the door cup and then the crank of the window. The resultant effect of this is that you now have a car audio system that is full-bodied, deep, spacious with correct and detailed sounds. The stereo imaging would be vibrant and the soundstage very spacious. Now, traveling or driving around with this new system would undoubtedly show you what you have been missing all this while. So, if you still have a sound system in your car that is poor, you know you are holding yourself back from enjoying a better one. You have to change your car audio system now. If you've enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you'll know once we post a new video. Also, drop a comment below so we can know your thoughts. Finally, don't forget to check the description below for more details and visit our site www.zimcarspeakers.com for more awesome car speaker content like this.